Hello guys and Happy New Year. Now it's this sort of time of the year, right at the end and the beginning of the new year, where I sort of reminisce on old videos, skim through and have a look at some of my favourite sessions from the previous year. And one session in particular struck out to me, and it was a session I did at exactly this time last year. And it was a session using UV floating creature baits to target big perch on the river. And the reason why it stood out is because the conditions just so happened to be exactly the same as the conditions today as to what they were last year. And it was a fantastic session. So I've decided to do exactly the same today, pretty much. I've come out with floating creature baits. I've got a few different styles of rigging them because the water is up and it is quite snaggy. So I'll be switching through the methods of trying to catch these perch, trying to optimise how many we can catch. Fingers crossed get some big ones. The aim is to get perch over 40 centimetres, but I'll happy to take anything along the way on a cold winter's day. So let's crack on and hopefully put a few fish on the bank. Right, it's time to catch some fish. I'm just going to work my way around the slacks, margins. My setup was really nice and simple. 2 to 8 gram Prism X rod, and then I've got the Prism X 1000 size reel loaded with 12-pound braid, and then we're starting off with an 8-pound fluorocarbon hook length, and we'll change that if we come across any jack pike or if I find I'm getting snagged up. Ooh, I've just pulled up to a spot and I can see perch immediately. I'm actually going to get the net ready for once. Normally I just wait till I hook a fish. I'm definitely going to get this ready. I feel I'm going to catch one fairly quickly here. There's definitely a few, although I have spooked him. They must have seen me all the way up the bank. I'm surprised. We've all spooked off already. It's on a Ned head. There we go. Oh yeah. Okay, first cast, I knew it. You know it's not a monster, but it is one of the bigger ones that was down there. Just caught on a little tube style bait. I thought that presentation might work quite well, especially on the Ned head, because it's very similar to a Ned anyway, that floating creature bait. And look, just ever so slightly hooked. Beautiful perch. See you later, buddy. Love this little slag. Always have done. There we go. First cast in this area. Proper hard hit. Biggest one so far. God, it absolutely crushed it. Where did that bait go? Look at that. Really nice. We'll rest him down in the water, see if we can get any more from this swim. Just change baits. Just do a slightly larger profile to the last one I was using. And straight away, that's the first cast out of that actually. But a little bit of action so far, and this has been the biggest one to take it. Not a monster, but like I say, heading in that direction. Fingers crossed, we'll get some bigger fish. But for now, I don't mind catching these. It's happened again. I might just go for weedless rigging. Keep a Texas rig or chub. Snapped off. So I've snagged up and lost at least 5 baits and 5 jig heads or Ned heads, but I'm still sticking to it. I don't know why. It's like wasting money, I think. But we'll see. I'm hitting spots that I feel like, even though they're clearly snaggy, I convinced myself that they're not that snaggy, and I'll get a better hook up if I just use a normal jig head or Ned head. And I'll just keep getting snagged up. There we go. There we go. That's a fish. I think that's a good sized perch. Oh yes. Ooh. Don't know how big it is in the flow, but oh god, look at them edge shakes. Oh, it's a nice fish. It's not Not a record breaker, but it's a really nice one. Not far off, definitely a 40. Probably bang on 40, I'd say. Nailed on that bait. Wonder if there's any more out there actually. I hope the session continues at this pace. It's another beautiful, beautiful perch. Probably not quite as big as I thought it was to begin with, maybe like a 38 centimetre, something like that, 39. I started off with maybe a fish of 3/4 of a pound, then one about a pound, then one about a pound and a bit. This one's probably about a pound and a half, or just a bit over that. So we're going in a fantastic direction. Each fish is slightly bigger than the last. This one's definitely been attacked by a pike. You can tell by his back end in the fins. He's been had hold of at some point, but he's doing all right. So get this one back, and fingers crossed, get some more. I've got through so many jig heads and net heads casting into the snags. It's not going to be too long before I put on a weedless rigging. But that's fantastic so far. Let this guy go. Like I say, definitely going in the right direction. See you later, big guy. Give me one down here somewhere, trust me. There we go. Oh, it's a small one. Let's give him a little drop down here into the margin. He'll be fine down there. Steady, steady. Right, I know it's snaggy over there, so see how I get on. There we go, that's a nice perch. It's clinging to those reeds in the slack waters. Knew there had to be one over there somewhere. It's holding in that flow. Once again, it's not a huge fish, but in this extra current, God, they really do pull. Oh, he's a beautiful one. Oh no, he's not a bad fish at all. A really nice one, look at that. Quite washed out colours. Oh, he popped the hook. Really nice one, sitting down in the water. Well, I seem to be on a bit of a one fish per swim policy at the minute. Every time I get to a swim that looks good, I can find the fish. I'm finding real nice specimen sized perch. Problem is, I can only get one per swim. Can't complain at that though, it's probably fish number 5 now. They've all been a relatively good size apart from one small one. So it's absolutely fantastic. So I've still got plenty of time to go and plenty more fish to catch. That was on the swing ball. Right guys, so things are going really well so far. I think I've had 5 or 6 perch out. Average size has been sort of between half an ounce and a pound, with maybe 1 or 2 a bit bigger and 1 smaller. So really, really good so far. The problem is I think I've been missing out on some of the fish that I've been trying to target today because I've been fishing exposed hooks, like the striking Ned heads I've been using to start off with, and a few jig heads I've been using. Obviously I've been catching the perch in sort of the relatively less snaggy areas, but then in the snaggy areas all I'm doing is breaking off repeatedly. So I'm going to change things, but before we do, I'm going to show you the baits that I've been using so far today. So I've been using some of the UV creature baits from Fox Rage, and like I said, I used these exactly the same time last year in the same conditions. They worked last year, and so far they're working really well this year. The two I've been using most so far was the swing ball and the funky worm, I believe it's called, and I've been doing great so far. But like I say, I need to change the rigging to be able to get into the snaggy areas. So instead of using an exposed hook on a jig head or a Ned head now, we're actually going with this Texas rig, something I don't use too often because I tend to just go for chebs if I decide to want a weedless presentation. But I've decided I'm going to go subtle, and we're going to have a bait that we drag along the bottom as opposed to being stood right up high now. So this is really, really simple. So we've got the funky worm, which is from one of those UV creature packs, with an offset hook, which we're gently going to bury into the bait like so to make it almost completely weedless. And then we've got a 7 gram bullet weight, which is from Strike King, and then a float stop there just to hold it in place. We're not fishing a bead on there, we're having quite a subtle presentation, very quiet and stealthy, very smooth presentation. And we're going to go back to the swim now where I've just had a perch from, and I'm going to fish this but right under the snags at the back where I couldn't get to with a standard jig head. I'm going to see if I can pull out an extra bonus perch or 2 from that swim. So I'm going to go back there now and we'll see if this works. Now I have just fished this swim and caught a nice perch, and I've changed over rigging completely, as you'd have just seen, as I've just spoken to you, in the hope that maybe this slimline slick sort of bait, weedless, along with a heavier leader, will enable me to get into some of these snags a bit more in this swim and maybe find 1 or 2 more perch. Got to be a good one though. Oh yeah, it went bad. There we go, there we go. That's a good perch. See, I knew there had to be one there. What did I just say? Last cast. That's about the same size. Only just hooked. Very lightly hooked. Oh, yes. Oh, it is bigger. That is definitely bigger. It's a shame I haven't got anything to measure it. It's definitely not fat, but look at the length of it. It's so skinny, but move over to weedless bait, get right into the snags, and we go and pull out another fish. That's really, really nice. And I was right, just changed over the rigging, weedless rigging, Texas rigged, right into the snags at the back. I checked my GoPro footage, it was within 5 minutes I had the bite from this fish. And it's probably the longest one of the session. I'd say easily a 41, maybe 42 centimetre. Problem is, he's so skinny that it doesn't actually look very big. He's a very, very long fish. Just needs to fatten up before the end of winter. Right, let's get this one back, because I've had him out of the water a little while now. And we'll see if we can get any more now. I've changed my rigging. Awesome. Yep, there we go. Another fish, another one. So getting in right underneath them snags again is paying off. Not a big one, probably a swinger. Whoa. See, that's a chunky one. That's more like a proper winter perch. Really nice and fat and chunky. Look at the colour of its eye, so yellow. Let's chuck him back. There we go. There we go. God, really are taking it on the paws. That's a jack pike. Okay. See you later, little guy. The one thing I will say with this sort of style of fishing is you have kind of got to be really precise with your casting. I mean, look at that right at the back of the snags there. Because sometimes a perch will be like sat in one area, not moving a huge amount, like right up against the snags. And sometimes you need to get the cast right in there to be able to tempt them to bite. Because quite often when it's cold, they don't particularly want to move a huge amount unless they're really on a feeding spell. So sometimes you have to get it right in the areas where you expect them to be. And for that I'd advise doing some practice casting. I mean, this is all I do is fishing snaggy rivers, so I'm used to it. So if you see there, the opposite bank, it's nice and slack, quite snaggy. You've got trees overhanging, so we're going to aim for that sort of area over there, right up against the far bank. So I knew that was going to land short by probably 3 or 4 foot, but we want it right up against the opposite bank, just like that. And that is absolutely perfect. I mean, I don't think there's going to be anything over there because it's really, really shallow. But that just gives you an idea of the sort of casting you've got to sort of try and do as best you can. Cling it right into the slack quarters and right underneath the snags, and that's where you're going to be able to pull out some of these big perch. There we go, there we go. That is a strong fish. No, that definitely can't be a perch. It's got to be a pike. If it's a perch, it'll be the biggest one I've ever caught. No, it's definitely a pike. It's not a bad size one either, really. Bugger! We're just coming towards the end of the session. It's currently 3:15, and it gets basically pitch black for just after 4. So less than an hour left, and I thought, oh, big head shakes from this jack. I just thought I'd hit the last few swims, and he's come off. Oh no, it would have been nice to end it on a good sized pike. Look, he screwed my bait up. Oh well, I've got one more spot I think to hit now, and then we're gonna have to go home because it's gonna get too dark, and my girlfriend's already rang me to tell me off for not coming back earlier. So I'm at my last ditch attempt at trying to get another 1 or 2 specimen perch. I've literally got 10 minutes left before I'm setting off home. I've just got snagged up, so I decided to go for broke. We're just gonna put on the brightest bait I've got. which is a bright pink UV swing ball should I say. And I'm just tying that straight onto a Ned head, which will help it stand up. It's got bright pink standing up bait off the bottom that has to get a bite in these last 15 yards. I've literally got 15 yards, just this swim here, and there's a couple of trees just down from me. Never caught fish from here before in my life. So it's time to see if we can get one more fish to end the session on. Good cast. There we go. Yes! Yes, 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 yes. I hope this is a big perch and not a pike. Oh no, my last ditch attempt at getting potentially a specimen perch, or rather another. I have had some nice fish before the end of the session. Has ended up with me catching a pike. I was just saying about how this was my last chance. Just got snapped off on a tree. I was just changing over to a really bright pink swing ball, and I thought that was going to be a perch then. Well, there we have it. Only just skin hook, so he's kind of lucky that he managed to stay on. But a beautiful little jack pike, probably to end the session on. Absolutely fantastic. After changing baits for the last bit of a hoorah at the end of the session. And you know what? It might not be the absolute monstrous perch that I was hoping for, my fingers crossed today, with the conditions being so good. But the fishing today has been fantastic, and I'm glad I got to end it on a lovely little jack pike. So if you've liked the look of the baits and the setup that I've been using today, I'll leave that all down in the description below. We're going to end the fish here on this lovely big guy. We're just going to rest him in the water now before we let him go. If you've liked the video, don't forget to like it. If you want to, feel free to subscribe and you'll see more content like this. And I hope you have a lovely new year, and I hope 2023 is better than 2022, because I'm sure for most of us it was a little bit rubbish. Thank you guys for watching. Catch you later. Bye.